Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We're back in the Ferrari 296 GT3, this time at Mexico City for yet another track guide. Good news is, it's not me behind the wheel, it's Johnny Lutsu. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the top 10 guys on iRacing by iRacing, 10.5k, and he is a driver coach. He's the guy that got me from 1200 IR up to 5,500 when I was at my peak. So if you want to check out his website, there's a link in the description, lutsudriverperformance.com. Let's start the hot lap. Right, here we go, smashing it down the main straight. There's quite a long straight here as well into turn one. Brake bias is on the screen in front of you. So we're in fifth gear, leaving it there. Getting up to the 4 marker, braking up to about 70%, long on the brakes. Trail off down to first gear, back over to the right hand side, tiny dab on the brakes. Going through the next section there in first gear, smoothly back on the gas, and went ahead back over to the right hand side. At the 2, braking up to about 65%, again holding that, now trailing it off down to first once again, little dab on the brakes as we go through turns 3 and 4. In first gear, holding it there, now braking slightly harder, getting around that double apex bend. Back over to the right hand side through this tricky fast section. So in third gear, cutting the corner, tiny dab on the brakes and a big lift, back over to the left hand side, on the brakes a little bit harder up to 20%, cutting the corner, very lenient on the off track on the inside to the left hand side there. As we come into turn 12, we're going to be looking for the start of the curbing, braking up to about 60%. On the gas back in second gear, over to the right hand side, braking slightly harder this time, trail it off all the way down to first gear, taking a huge amount of curb there, little lift, absolutely flat through the next bit, and then final braking down to first gear, hook it back over to the right hand side, and over and across we go in a 1:39.8. Got the driving line version coming up next. Right, we'll speed through this. I did say it's the driving line version coming up next. This is a lie. It's the breakdown. Then we have the driving line version. In my defense, it is 5:30 AM where I am. Right, so first braking marker is going to be just after the 5, just before the 4 on the left-hand side here. So he brakes up to 70%, holds it. So he's still on 70%. Now we're going to start to turn in. That's when he trails it off, getting back on the gas in first gear at the apex, head over to the right hand side, little dab on the brakes, and getting back on the gas at the apex again. Not quite on full as we're jumping over the second curb, and now straight up to 100%. Back over to the right hand side. And we're looking for this 2 marker on the right here. So braking up to nearly 70% again, hold it, now trail it off as we turn in, getting back up on the gas or starting to get on the gas at the apex. Giving yourself a nice wide entry into the next part here, little dab on the brakes. And got to be later on the gas here because there's so much turning going on. If you have a look, it's past 90 degrees on the steering wheel. Now we get up to 100% as we open it up. As we get towards the end of the curbs here, that's when we're going to lightly go on the brakes, well up to about 45%. Trail it off in first gear, picking back up on the gas at the second apex. Now we're going to head back over to the right hand side as we go up through the gears into third gear. And this is where we're going to do a dab on the brakes up to about 40%. Sharp trail off, getting back on the gas at the apex. Holding it at 100%, taking a huge amount of curb as you can see here. So this is just staying within the what is classed as being part of the track limits. And then again, cutting the following corner as well. Little dab on the brakes. You see only up to about 10%, trailing that off. Back on the gas in third gear, opening the corner up now. And as soon as we get to the end of this grass here on the left, getting up on the brakes up to about 25%. Again, cutting the corner. And cutting the corner again. If you want to maximize your time, you have to use the full track limits that iRacing allows. Next braking zone into turn 12 is going to be the start of this curbing. As you can see now on the brakes, brakes up to about 70% again, trying not to activate the ABS. trail that off, down to second gear, getting on the gas again at the apex, back up to 100%, going to head over to the right hand side now just before we get to the outside of the turn. So when he's on the brakes at about 50%, trail it off down to the apex, then on the gas in first, little lift, absolutely flat through this next part, and again really holding it over to the left hand side. And as we get to the end of this curbing, on the brakes the final time, up to about 40%, trail it off down to first, clip in the corner, and back on the gas. As we go over and across the line, we've got one final version coming up next. It is the driving line version, and it is without me talking. Enjoy.